Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Francisca and today I'm going to be showing you how to make an A-line shift dress. It is actually very free. Let me quickly show you guys. So this is this is how it looks, very free. But if you're looking for a fitted look, you can actually use your waist belt to achieve that, and you can see how it looks actually fitted at the waist area on the mannequin. So for this project rather, the round measurement you'll be needing is just your bust measurement. That's it. You will not be using your waist or your hip because the dress is actually free. So let us get into the video.
So I fold my fabric in 4 because I want to be cutting the back and the front at the same time. Then I'm going to go ahead and mark the top line, and from there that's where I'll be marking all my measurements. So after marking the top line, I'm going to mark my shoulder measurements. My shoulder measurement is divided by 2, so this is 6.75. My shoulder measurement is 13.5. So I mark 6.75 on that top line, and then I'm going to add an extra ½ inch allowance. Now I mark my arm sky. I'll be going with 8 inches instead of 8.5 as I normally do. That's because I'll be extending the allowance on the side. So I do the same thing at the other side as well. I join the points both horizontally and vertically. Now on the horizontal side, I'm going to be marking my bust measurement divided by 4. My bust measurement is 34 divided by 4, which is 8.5. So I mark 8.5 inches, and at that 8.5 inches, I'll be adding an extra 1.5. So I'm going to get my French curve and curve it out. I got this French curve from ALIEXPRESS, so I'm going to link it down below. So I mark my neck width of 4 inches and my neck depth of 5 inches for the front. So this measurement I'm marking is for the front, it doesn't go for the back. And after I do that, I get my French curve again, and I'm going to curve it out as well. So after marking my neckline, the next thing I'm going to do is mark my shoulder slant. My shoulder slant is ½ inches, and then I join the points. So to the length of my dress, is 40. I've marked 30 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and mark 10 inches now. I wanted it to be up close. That's why I did the measurements and steps. I mark on the folded part of my fabric, and I go ahead and do the same thing on the other side of my fabric, 30 inches first, and then following by 10 inches. And then once I do the markings, I join the point horizontally. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to mark the A portion. Now that I have marked the 40 inches on the other side, now from my bust measurement, I get my 2 rulers and I place it more or less like diagonally from my end of my bust measurement all the way to the 40 inches mark on the open side, and then I join the points. This is the A part of the dress, and then I cut it out. So I go ahead, I do not touch my neckline, shoulder slants, arm sky, and then I'm done cutting the dress for now. So what I'm going to do now is open it up and mark my neck width on the second part of the fabric using the front marking as a guide. So I mark my neck width on the other fabric of 4 inches, and then I'm going to be using a neck depth of 3 inches on the other fabric, on the back portion of my fabric. So I mark 3 inches and curve with my French curve. So I'm going to cut out my back portion now. After this, I'm going to cut out the front. So once I'm done cutting the neckline, I go ahead and join my shoulders, the shoulders of the front and the back piece together. I usually join the shoulders and the sides as well before cutting out the sleeve, because I like to make sure that the sleeve curve matches the curve of the arm sky. So I do the first shoulder and move on to the other shoulder. So I join my shoulders by 1/2 inch and then the side by 1/2 inch as well. So always make sure you start with a back stitch to seal your stitch, and then I continue sewing all the way down. So after this, doing this and doing it on the other side of the dress, I go ahead and work on my sleeve. So my round sleeve divided by 2 is 6 inches. I mark it right there, and then I'll be adding 1/2 inch allowance. Then I go ahead and mark my sleeve head length. Sorry, I go ahead and mark the length of my sleeve. It's a 3/4 sleeve, adding 1 inch as allowance to the length. And after that, I go ahead and mark my standard sleeve head of 5 inches and mark on the other side as well. So, and then I join the horizontal. On the horizontal measurement, I mark my 6.5 inches and join to the markings that I have made at the top. Making sure it's exactly 5 inches as well as in length. So after doing this, I also mark the 6.5 inches at the bottom of the length of my sleeve, and then I join. So after doing that, I'm going to be using freehand, which is how I do my sleeve curve. It's more or less like an S shape, but more very slanted. Yeah, it's very slopey, and I do it from the folded parts towards the end of the measurement. And after marking that, I'm sorry it's not so clear, I guess is the color of the chalk I'm using on the fabric. I'm going to measure the sleeve curve, and I have about 8.5 inches, about 8.5 inches. Then I get my sewn dress, that is the where the shoulder is sewn and the side is sewn, and then I measure, and I'm having about 8.5 inches. I measure from the stitched parts to the stitched parts, so not from beginning to end. So I'm going to be adding an extra 0.5 inches to my sleeve curve. You see why I like to measure, I like to sew my dress before doing the sleeve. Now after adding extra 0.5 inches, I don't want my sleeve to be straight, so you remember I marked 6.5 inches. So right now I'm going to be marking 6 inches. I'm going to take off 0.5 inch, and I'm going to join a diagonal line from the end of my sleeve curve. The extra 0.5 inch I added, I'm going to measure it down to my 6 inches at the base of the sleeve. And yeah, my sleeve is done, I'm going to cut it out now, and then after cutting it out, I'm going to duplicate it for the other sleeve. So yeah, here is my sleeve. Just going to open it up. There's also a video on how I cut my sleeve, so I'm going to link that up and put it in the description box. And then here is my duplicate. So what I'm going to do before attaching my sleeve to my dress, I'm going to sew by the 1/2 inch allowance I gave from top to bottom. Always make sure you backstitch before sewing down the length of your whatever you're sewing, such that your stitch doesn't come open. And then when you get to the bottom, you backstitch as well. So after this, I'm going to look for the midpoint at the sleeve curve, and I'm going to notch that part, this midpoint, and then turn your sleeve inside out. Place the notched part underneath your shoulder joining with right sides touching. Place the notched part underneath your shoulder joining with right sides touching, and then you're going to be sewing from that shoulder joining all the way to the armpit area, the joining at the armpit area, the joining at the armhole area. That way you make sure that you're sewing very evenly, and I sew by 1/2 inch allowance. So this is basically how I join my sleeves, using the curve of my armhole as a guide. I do the same thing to the other side, so you can see. Start from the shoulder joining or the notched part where you mark on the sleeve, and then you continue sewing by 1/2 inch allowance all the way to the joining at the armhole area, under the arm basically. So after doing this, I'm going to go ahead, yeah, this is how it looks. I'm going to go ahead and hem the bottom of my sleeve. I roll the hem and then stitch all the way around. Start with a back stitch, of course, and then sew all the way. So you can see this is a very simple style to achieve. So after I'm done with the sleeve, yeah, this is how it looks. After I'm done hemming the sleeve, I go ahead and I've already overlocked the sides because the fabric is fraying at the raw edges, so I overlocked the raw edges. I'm going to go ahead and hem the neckline, the same hemming I did for my sleeve. For the end of my sleeve, I do the same thing for my neckline, and then I also do the same thing for the bottom of the dress. But the allowance I used in hemming differs for both my sleeve and my neckline, because my neckline is kind of curved, so I used a smaller fold in order to easily get the fold well. So that's what I did. I used a smaller fold similar to the folding at the end of my sleeve, and then I go ahead and hem the bottom of the dress. So here is the dress right here, without a belt and with a belt. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so for more videos. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye.